On the third day after Ian was kidnapped, I escaped from the mountains with him. But his first love was sentenced to 7 years in prison for suspected kidnapping. On the day Emily was imprisoned, Ian ruined my birthday party. Why did you take me out? Emily was just losing her temper with me. She didn't want to hurt me at all. Ian shouted at me desperately. But he didn't know that Emily really would attack him. I heard that if Ian's family didn't bring money soon, he would have a leg broken. I told him the truth, but Ian thought I was lying. He regarded Emily as the moon on earth and snow on his heart, but regarded my family and Christine's family as stepping stones on his road to success. In 7 years, Ian expanded the Ian family with the support of Christine's family. He became famous and successful. But on the day Emily was released from prison, he tied me, his wife, to the seaside. Christine, dying to atone for your sins is your end. I was unconscious in the sea water but woke up on the day Ian was kidnapped. This time, looking at Ian who was kidnapped, I didn't follow him anymore. Perhaps dying in the mountains is the end Ian deserves. I have loved Ian for many years. Although many people said that Ian approached me for interests, I still crave the tenderness he gave me. I was so infatuated with love. So when I was kidnapped to the seaside and saw that the person in front of me was Ian, my husband who had lived with me for 6 years, I was almost broken. Why? Why are you doing this to me? Ian threw the cigarette in his hand on the ground and crushed it. Looking at me who was already crying into tears, there was not much emotional fluctuation in his eyes. Even his eyebrows were slightly wrinkled. Ian's voice was very soft, but it floated into my ears extremely clearly with the sea breeze. He said, "In these 7 years, I have been visiting Emily all the time, but she never agreed to see me. She hates me. I went to see her again yesterday. She finally agreed to see me. I thought Emily was willing to forgive me. But she told me that she got sick in prison and won't live long. Christine, it's you who harmed her. You should atone for your sins with your death. And I will accompany her in the remaining days of Emily." Emily. I didn't expect to hear this name again. And I didn't expect that my husband who had been married to me for 6 years would want to kill me because of her. Looking at the indifferent man in front of me, I suddenly realized that my decision to always choose him was extremely wrong. I shouldn't have risked my life to rescue him from the deep mountains 7 years ago. And I shouldn't have believed that he would love me after Emily was imprisoned. But time no longer allowed me to regret. Under Ian's signal, the people around me pushed me into the sea from the cliff. I was constantly drowning in the sea water with my hands and feet tied. Staring at the sunlight fluctuating with the waves, I finally passed out from suffocation. The strong sense of suffocation didn't disappear for a long time. In the unbearable pain, I finally opened my eyes again. There was no sea water. It was just a dry and warm coffee shop. Miss, what's wrong with you?" The waiter who came to deliver coffee saw that I was pale and there were layers of cold sweat on my forehead. She quickly asked if I was unwell and if an ambulance was needed. I shook my head and didn't speak. I just breathed greedily. Seeing that my complexion improved, the waiter put down the coffee and left. I must have died once. The lingering fear in my heart reminded me of the death I had experienced. But I was reborn. I looked at the surrounding environment in disbelief. At a glance, I saw Ian standing outside the floor-to-ceiling glass window. He was on the phone with an unmasked smile on his face. A taxi stopped on the street. The person getting off the car was Emily. The beautiful girl with long black curly hair was also holding a mobile phone. She waved to Ian. Without being on guard, Ian ran over happily. It wasn't until Ian got on that green taxi and the door closed that I dared to breathe deeply. My body was almost excited to the point of madness. After quickly paying the bill, I went home. Since Ian hated me for harming Emily and hated me for occupying his wife's position in this life, let him bravely pursue his true love. In the evening, there was news from Ian's family. Ian was kidnapped. Ian was kidnapped. The kidnappers said they would only release him if they were given 10 million yuan. Otherwise, my mother hugged me into her arms and didn't continue. "Christine, don't worry. Ian's family has reported to the police and hired people to investigate. Ian will be fine. My mother gently stroked my back to comfort me. She knew my affection for Ian and was afraid that I would be in a mess due to excessive concern. I buried myself in my mother's arms and forced out a few tears. Mom, I believe brother Ian will definitely be fine. What could happen to Ian? He will just have a leg broken. Compared to his love, this is nothing at all. In my previous life, I knew that Emily had an appointment with Ian. So I waited in that coffee shop. After seeing Ian and Emily leave together, I followed them jealously. It wasn't until the car drove further and further to the territory of a small town that I realized something was wrong. Ian was kidnapped into a big mountain by Emily and several other people. I called the police and spent a day and a night sneaking into the depths of the mountain forest and found their hiding place. I originally wanted to wait for the police to find this place. But unexpectedly, I heard the conversation of those kidnappers. Can Ian's family really take out 10 million yuan to redeem him? I heard that Ian's father has many sons privately. Tomorrow is the time for the transaction. We will know then. If they don't give the money, they can forget about getting the person. Will there be any problem if only Adu is left here to watch him tomorrow? He is tied so tightly. What problem could there be? When the two kidnappers were chatting vigorously, Emily came. There was also a tall and handsome man beside her. Boss. Sister-in-law. Emily heard what they had just said and said coldly, break one of his legs before leaving tomorrow to make sure he can't cause trouble. Break his leg? Don't you feel distressed? The handsome man touched Emily's curly hair and joked with a smile. I have kidnapped the person for you. And you still say such words to laugh at me. Although Emily was dissatisfied in her mouth, she threw herself into the man's arms. The coquettish look was completely different from the coldness just now. Jean, after we successfully get the money from Ian's family, let's start in a new place, okay? Okay. The man gently kissed Emily on the lips. The two of them went down the mountain together again. That night, I endured sleepiness and squatted until my feet were numb. Finally, I waited for a kidnapper who came out to relieve himself. I picked up the sharp stone I had prepared in advance and hit the back of the kidnapper's head. I didn't stop until I knocked the person unconscious and blood flowed all over the ground. I took out the bloody knife from him and then went around to the back window of the wooden house. In Ian's surprised sight, I handed him the bloody knife. At around 3 in the morning, when everything in the mountain forest was silent, Ian and I ran desperately in the forest. I thought I had saved him. But I didn't expect to harm myself. This time, I won't take risks again. And I won't hand the knife that will harm my life to Ian. The days were hard to endurely slow. My parents comforted me while worrying about Ian's family. I just cried. I cried in front of people. But I didn't provide any clues to the police. And I didn't agree to let Christine's family pay for Ian's family. Ian's mother came to see me. In these years, Ian's family's business has declined by more than half. The company is also short of money. They really can't afford this 10 million. My parents' words had a questioning meaning. In fact, they agreed in their hearts. But at this time, they asked for my opinion. So that later, Ian's parents' hearts could be more inclined towards me. No matter how poor Ian's family is, they can still come up with 10 million yuan. It's just that Ian's parents think that someone will help them pay this sum of money, so they find reasons not to pay. But Ian is from Ian's family. What does his safety have to do with our Christine's family? Mom and Dad, we can't pay this money for Ian's family. Not long ago, brother Ian got very angry because I interfered in his affairs with Emily. If I interfere in his affairs again this time, brother Ian will definitely think that I want to threaten him with favors. Yes, not long ago, Ian and I had a big fight. The reason for the fight was that I once again advised Ian to stay away from Emily. I could see that the person Emily loved was not him, but Ian was convinced that Emily and he were in love with each other. After the fight, Ian never came to find me again. There was only 1 week left until my birthday, but he was always by Emily's side. He even presented the gift he had promised to give me to Emily. I don't want brother Ian to misunderstand me again. I cried sadly. My parents had no choice but to refuse Ian's family. When Ian's parents knew that our Christine's family refused to pay the money, their expressions became much worse. Especially Ian's mother. After she knew it was my intention, she gave me a dissatisfied look. After all, in her eyes, I was still that Christine who would do everything possible to please her for Ian's sake. She snorted softly and said in a threatening tone, "I can see some people clearly after our Ian was kidnapped this time. In the future, when looking for a daughter-in-law for our Ian, I must be more careful." My parents' faces showed anger after hearing her words, but I didn't react much. Just before going upstairs, I cleared my relationship with Ian. "Auntie, I know the person brother Ian likes is not me. I have also let go of my feelings for brother Ian. I hope that after brother Ian is rescued this time, he can be with the person he really likes. By the way, in the future, when Auntie and Uncle come to Christine's family, it's better to send someone to inform us first. After all, the door of Christine's family is not always open." Are you a girl talking to elders like this?" Ian's mother was so angry that she jumped. She still wanted to say something, but my parents raised their hands to send the guests away. After all, they were polite to Ian's family only because their daughter liked Ian's son. In the end, Ian's family still took out 10 million yuan. But before this 10 million yuan was spent, Ian was found. 3 hours before the agreed transaction time, the waiting police saw the suspects appear and then followed the direction they came and searched into the deep mountains. Almost all the people who kidnapped Ian were caught in one net. Except for Emily and that man, they escaped. Ian's situation was even worse than I expected. His body was covered with bruises from sticks. The tendon of his right foot was cut, and one of his eyes was blinded. According to those kidnappers, when they were about to break Ian's foot, he still shouted and asked if Emily had ever loved him from the beginning to the end. The answer was of course no. But those people were annoyed by him and hit him even harder than originally planned. When the police subdued the kidnappers and found Ian in the wooden house, he had already passed out from the pain. "Christine, do you want to see Ian?" "Ian hasn't woken up yet in the hospital." Although my parents now see clearly the true nature of Ian's family, after all, Ian grew up under their eyes. After getting the news, they also went to the hospital to visit him as soon as possible. What a good child. How could he encounter such a thing? My mother is a sentimental person. In this life, when she saw Ian's tragic situation, she still cried until her eyes were red. "Christine, there are some things that Dad still needs to make clear to you." Although my dad also sympathized with Ian's experience, he was more rational. "You know that Dad has always been not very agreeable to you and Ian. Now that Ian has had such an incident, he is really not a good choice for you. Dad hopes that you can think more about your future." "Dad, I really don't like Ian anymore. Since he has repeatedly chosen to hurt me, there is no more affection between us." My dad thought I was talking about the big fight between me and Ian not long ago. Seeing that I looked calm and didn't show much emotional fluctuation even when I knew that Ian was in a coma in the hospital, his tightly knitted eyebrows slowly relaxed. "It's good to let go. Your mom and I will go to the hospital to visit. You are also tired during this period. Just stay at home and rest." Seemingly afraid that I would feel pity again after seeing Ian at the hospital, my dad quickly told me to stay at home. I agreed immediately. Without having to get involved in Ian's family affairs, I was happy to be free. But before I had been free for long, people from Ian's family took the initiative to come to the door. Ian woke up. "Christine, Ian wants to see you." Ian's mother appeared at my birthday party. Her eyes were full of bloodshot and there were dark circles under her eyes. Her whole state was much worse than before. After all, no matter how many illegitimate children Ian's family has privately, she only has Ian as a child. Looking at the birthday party carefully arranged by my parents for me, I couldn't help sighing. I thought I could have a good birthday this time. In my previous life, Ian also suddenly appeared like this. Although he had torn up the invitation card I had carefully prepared, he still came to make me unhappy for Emily. "Christine, you have harmed Emily terribly. Emily has explained everything clearly to me. She never thought of hurting me. She was just afraid that my parents would not agree and that she would be forced to be separated from me in the future. So she thought of such a stupid way. She wanted to take the money and live in another place with me. If it weren't for your self-righteous interference, Emily and I would already be together now. It's your jealousy that has harmed her. Love makes people blind. It's not only me who is blind, but also Ian who is infatuated with Emily. Obviously, it was Ian's parents who prevented him from being with Emily. And it was also Ian's parents who hired the best lawyer to sentence Emily. But in the end, he would only say that I was jealous. After speaking up for Emily, Ian left, leaving me to be teased by many guests. But I was also not very smart in my previous life. After being hurt by Ian, I still chose to forgive him. It was only until I was killed by him in the end that I could see his true nature. Christine, please, go and see Ian. Being able to see Ian's tragic situation on my birthday can also be considered a birthday surprise. The air in the hospital was filled with a strong smell of disinfectant. I endured the disgusting feeling and pushed open the door of the ward in front of me. But before I could enter the ward, a medicine bottle was thrown in front of me. The splashed liquid medicine and glass fragments barely grazed my toes. Ian on the hospital bed no longer had gentleness. Instead, he was replaced by a morbid and gloomy temperament. Those eyes full of hatred only slightly restrained and showed a little guilt after seeing that it was me. Christine, sorry. I thought it was the nurse coming to change the dressing. I forced a shallow smile and was not angry. As I approached Ian, he became unnatural. He pulled the bed quilt with difficulty with his hand, trying to cover that injured leg. But his injury wasn't healed yet. After struggling for a long time, it was still in vain. I considerately let Ian lie down and tucked in the quilt for him. When I looked up at Ian again, one of his eyes was wrapped in gauze, and the other eye was already completely red. Christine, are you unwilling to see me because you are angry about the previous incident? I have always been the person who is most nervous about Ian. This time, he was seriously injured and lying in the hospital, but I didn't show up. He just thought that I hadn't calmed down from the argument before the kidnapping. Christine, I regret it. I should have listened to you and stayed away from Emily earlier. She is a liar. She doesn't love me at all. I did persuade Ian to stay away from Emily many times. But in the end, Ian and I would always quarrel. Emily suddenly appeared in the life of me and Ian. She was beautiful and gentle. Every move was what Ian was fond of. Now thinking about it, they should have targeted Ian long ago. Christine, will you forgive me? Ian's sickly pale face flushed because of nervousness. His remaining eye was full of guilt and regret, but more of calculation. In Ian's current state, he needs the support of Christine's family to protect his things in Ian's family. Emily used Ian's love to hurt him. And he wants to use my love to calculate Christine's family. Among us, love seems to have become a weapon. Brother Ian, where is my gift? Ian was stunned by my question. After a few seconds, he realized that today was my birthday. Sorry, Christine. I haven't had time to prepare it yet. He is lying again. For a long time, Ian always seems to be lying to me. Before meeting Emily, he clearly said that he loved me. But later, he said that he only regarded me as a younger sister. When we got married, he said that he would be good to me for a lifetime. But in 6 years of marriage, he was not only indifferent to me but also pushed me into the deep sea and took my life. Now, clearly he bought the jewelry I like a month in advance, but he said he didn't prepare it. The white pearl necklace matches the girl's fair and slender neck very well. But Emily doesn't like pearls. Or she just doesn't like the person who gave the gift. After acting in front of Ian, she sold the pearl necklace. It doesn't matter, brother Ian. I won't be angry with you. But I have seriously thought about what you said before. I probably really mistook the liking and dependence on my neighbor's brother as love. In the future, we will still be friends who grew up together. My words made Ian's slightly relieved face instantly lose all color. He opened his mouth to say something but was interrupted by me. Brother Ian, I'll go find a nurse to help you change the dressing. The liquid in the infusion bottle has been finished. Another new bottle has just been broken. I left the ward regardless of Ian's retained gaze. I had stayed with him for too long. A suppressed disgust welled up in my heart. In order not to be locked up in prison myself, I needed to go out and get some fresh air. I strolled leisurely in the hospital corridor, thinking about where Emily could escape. According to the police officer in charge of the case, when the man was running away with Emily, he was shot. Although the location of the gunshot was not clear, the police deployed surveillance in all the places that could provide medical treatment in the direction they escaped. It is estimated that it won't be long before Emily and the man's whereabouts can be found. I was lost in thought when suddenly I heard a harsh quarrel at the corner. It was Ian's parents. Now that such a thing has happened to Ian. As a father, instead of caring about your son, you are actually thinking about bringing those unseemly things back to Ian's family. I have turned a blind eye to your nonsense privately. But if you dare to give what belongs to Ian to others, don't do the projects between Ian's family and my natal family anymore. Let's see who will support your broken company. Ian's father's eyebrows were tightly knitted. If one son was useless, he would change to another. He thought he was right in making this choice. But the company was declining day by day in his hands and had to rely on the help of his father-in-law's family. And his wife was a difficult person. In the end, Ian's father just sighed and temporarily suppressed the thought of changing the heir. Now that such a thing has happened, I am also afraid that Ian's body can't hold on. I want to retire so early. Isn't it because I want to return to my family earlier and accompany you too? Who can compete with Ian for Ian's family's property? He is our only son. Fong Yun didn't believe his nonsense. She just warned her husband again. I didn't want to confront Ian's couple head-on. So I took a detour and spent some more time walking to the nurse's station. But just as I was about to speak, I saw on the call display screen of the nurse's station that the nurses in Ian's ward seemed to have received some kind of information. A large number of people rushed to the ward I had just left. I followed the crowd to watch the excitement, listening to the originally quiet ward becoming noisy. 2 policemen dragged out a woman in nurse's clothing, with messy short hair and a distorted face. It was Emily. Emily's hands were stained with blood. Her body was distorted in pain, but she was still laughing wildly. Ian. You have to pay for Jin's life. All of you from Ian's family deserve to die. No one expected that bullet to take that man's life. In order not to expose their whereabouts and give Emily a chance to escape, he died on the way of escape. No one expected that Emily would give up escaping and return to the hospital in disguise. Emily was taken away. Ian's family will not let her go. In the ward, doctors and nurses were busy with first aid and stopping bleeding. I secretly glanced at it. A sharp knife was stuck in Ian's heart. The blood stained his blue and white hospital gown. Ian's pale face was extremely abrupt in the bright red tone. He was so quiet as if he had lost all vital signs. Ian was sent to the operating room for rescue. As Ian's mother, Fong Yun cried, almost fainting outside the operating room, and her husband stood coldly beside her. There was not much emotion on that numb face. Even compared to when he was arguing with Fong Yun just now, he was much more relaxed. After a long operation, Ian's life was saved, but he fell into a deep coma. If Mr. Ian doesn't wake up within 2 weeks, then the chance of waking up later is slim. The doctor carefully chose the word slim, but in fact it is impossible. Ian's mother has always been a strong person, but now she is almost crushed by this terrible news. She goes to the hospital to watch over him every day. 1 day. 1 week. 1 month. 1 year. Almost everyone thinks that Ian will never wake up. He will lie on the hospital bed until one day he leaves completely. I also think so. So when I saw Ian at my engagement party, I almost thought I saw a ghost. In the 3rd year of Ian's coma, I got engaged. My engagement partner is not anyone in the rich circle of Jincheng. Instead, he is someone I truly like. Nathan runs a dessert shop. I went there by chance once and was immediately fascinated by the delicate sweetness there. Nathan always likes to put a flower next to the exquisite dessert, from Maria paniculata to Astilbe chinensis and then to red roses. Looking at the overly large portion of blueberry mousse on the plate and the red rose dripping with fresh dew next to it, I couldn't help looking at Nathan standing not far away. Our eyes met. Nathan didn't hide the love in his eyes. He straightened his body and tried to make himself look calm and composed. But the blush quickly climbed onto his fair and handsome face. Unlike Ian's disguise, gentleness is Nathan's nature. Nathan's active pursuit and my non-dislike became the beginning of a relationship. Later, I learned that those flowers on the plate were chosen by Nathan every day before opening the shop from the best flower shop in Jincheng. If I didn't come and the flower withered, he would buy it again. The flower is his heart language and also his waiting from early morning. Many people came to my engagement party with Nathan. Many of them are people who know about my past with Ian. So when Ian appeared, the crowd made a commotion for a while. They whispered, guessing when Ian woke up and what was he doing here today? When Ian appeared, he was still wearing blue and white hospital clothes, as if he had just run out of the hospital. Christine. Are you getting engaged? Ian's voice was hoarse and his gaze on me was scorching. Nathan beside me gently held my hand and stood in front of me. Excuse me, do you have something to do with my fiancé? Rarely did Nathan lose his good temper. He looked at Ian, and there was unremovable guard in his eyes. Your fiancé? Ian's emotions suddenly became agitated. He grabbed Nathan's collar and raised his fist. Christine is my wife. Ian's fist full of anger was easily caught by Nathan. He had been lying in bed for 3 years. Although there were people taking care of him meticulously 24 hours a day, his body was much weaker than before. Coupled with a disabled leg and an injured eye, Nathan hardly exerted any force and Ian fell to the ground. Seeing her son fall to the ground, Fang Yun, who had been hiding in the crowd, rushed out. She wanted to help Ian up but was pushed away fiercely by the other party. The noise of the crowd became even louder. They didn't expect that Ian really came here today to go crazy for love. They had all seen my affection for Ian before. Now, many people who are watching the show are guessing whether I will choose my old love and abandon my new love. Listening to the noise of the crowd, I stood out from behind Nathan. Ian's gaze almost immediately stuck to me. He wanted to find other emotions on my face besides indifference, even pity. Ian, you may have just woken up and your mind is not very clear. We are just neighbors who grew up together and have no other relationship. My voice was resolute and clearly fell into the ears of everyone present. Christine, we are really husband and wife. We got married. Ian was a little broken. He still wanted to say something but was interrupted by me. Thank you all for coming to my engagement party with Nathan today. There is still one last ceremony that needs everyone to witness. I took out the prepared ring and forcefully put it on Nathan's middle finger. Nathan was not angry. On the contrary, he was very happy. Nathan carefully took out the engagement ring from his arms. He put it on me gently and looked at me attentively. There was thick love in his eyes. Finally, Nathan kissed me on the lips. He happily announced, my wedding with Christine will be in 3 months. Welcome everyone to bless us. After speaking, Nathan was about to take me home. Christine, there is an engagement cake made by me at home. It's a new flavor only for you to taste. Just as Nathan and I were about to get in the car, Ian, who didn't know when he had chased up, stopped us. Finally, Nathan kissed me on the lips. He happily announced, my wedding with Christine will be in 3 months. Well, just say it here. I'm afraid Nathan will worry about me. I looked back. Nathan was also looking at me. There was a little more embarrassment on Ian's face. Christine, maybe you don't believe it, but we have really been married for 6 years. You are my beloved wife. Beloved? You are the first one to call the wife who was thrown into the sea by oneself beloved. Ian, who was still trying to explain more to me, was stunned. I was reborn after being thrown into the sea by you. What about you? How did you die? This is the reason why I agreed to talk to Ian. If Ian in the previous life lived well, then he would not appear here today. Emily deceived me. The person who will die of illness is not her but Nian Jin. Nian Jin's prison term is longer. If he can't get treatment, he can only die in prison. Emily asked me to save him. I didn't agree. Emily then tricked me to the rooftop. But Christine, it's true that I love you. I was too paranoid. Paranoid to think that all my feelings for you are hate. The second after I ordered them to do it, I regretted it. I love you. I wanted to save you back, but I couldn't find you no matter what. Ian was in tears. This was the first time I heard him say he loved me. As expected, it was disgusting. Love me? What about Emily? Being able to love two people at the same time. Ian, you are really amazing. A person can be continuously hurt by the same person. She may be kind, or stupid, or cowardly. But the other person is absolutely bad. Your current situation is what you deserve. I won't be used by you again. It's not using you. Christine, I really fell in love with you. Ian's mind is probably really not clear. I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with him. After all, if it takes too much time, the cream in the cake will collapse. I thought that after the last conversation and Ian knew that I had the memory of my previous life, he would give up pestering me. But I didn't expect that he was like a dog's skin plaster and stuck to me and Nathan. Christine, no matter what, I will never let go in this life. You were my wife before and you will be in the future. Christine, you have liked me for so many years. You won't give up on me easily, right? You just still resent me. Christine, you can't marry someone else. The person who wants to marry you is me. Can you forgive me again? After Nathan's shop was smashed, Ian appeared in front of me and said these disgusting words. Nathan was so angry that he wanted to hit someone, but I stood between them. There was pride and surprise on Ian's face. He thought I was protecting him, but he didn't expect that what I wanted to protect was Nathan's face. Don't do it first. In case his face is injured, how can we take wedding photos tomorrow? Nathan was very obedient to me. His clenched fist finally loosened. But here. This is the place where Nathan and I met, got to know each other and fell in love. That's why Ian wanted to smash it. I will always remember everything about you. As for here, after we get married, I will come back to redecorate with you again, okay? Nathan responded a little aggrievedly and leaned into my arms like a big dog. I comfortingly patted Nathan's furry head. When I looked at Ian again, there was obvious impatience and annoyance on my face. The closeness and distance of attitudes was like an ice pick deeply piercing Ian's heart. Ian, you said you jumped into that sea. Then you should know the powerlessness and suffocation in my sea. I will always remember that kind of pain and always hate you. I hate Ian. I hate him so much that even though I had countless grievances in those 6 years, I don't want to vent them on him now. These are the two clearest sentences. If I talk to him more, I will find it disgusting. God giving me a chance to start over again is not for me to repeat the same mistakes. Moreover, Ian is not the image of a husband in my heart. He is just a despicable murderer. Since that day, Ian has never appeared in front of me again. It's not that he doesn't want to, but Ian's family has completely held him back. Christine's family snatched Ian's family's biggest order. Ian's family's development has been deteriorating. The new capital flow depends on this order. But the conditions that Christine's family can offer are what they can't give. In addition, a big event happened in Ian's family. Ian's father was paralyzed. This man who has done countless bad things in his life was directly hit by an out-of-control truck on his way to meet his lover. Whether it was an accident or man-made, no one cared. After saving the man's life, the doctor suggested sending Ian's father abroad for better treatment. Fong Yun looked at her husband lying on the hospital bed with saliva flowing from his mouth and only 2 eyes able to move. She refused. My husband's ancestral business is here. The root of Ian's family is also here. He won't go anywhere. Perhaps it was only at this time that the two people at the door of the operating room understood each other's state of mind. The day before the wedding, I took time to go to the prison. Emily, that beautiful girl, has now become so thin that she is almost unrecognizable. The skin exposed on her hands still has unhealed scars. Presumably it was Fong Yun's doing. In my previous life, I was a little jealous of Emily. I was angry that my relationship with Ian for more than 10 years couldn't compare with a girl who suddenly appeared. But I forgot that Ian walked towards Emily step by step. From the beginning to the end, Emily never did anything that really hurt me. You are not living well in prison. I can help you. I was a little ashamed. I had been inexplicably angry with Emily all these years. I always felt that she had a hand in my tragedy. Now that I let it go, I was willing to admit that she was also a person tortured by fate. Emily was a little surprised by my kindness, but she still refused with a smile. Thank you. Actually, there is no need to bother. Can you tell me what day it is today? The 9th day of the 6th month. At about the same time 3 years ago, she and Yen-jin and a group of people kidnapped Ian. It was also at this time that the fates of several of us encountered a fork in the road here. It will be soon. Christine, can I ask you to help me with another favor? You say. Ajin is left in the second small county town behind that mountain. There is an orphanage there. I erected a tomb for Ajin on the small slope next to the orphanage. After I die, can you find someone to send me back to Ajin? Emily's always empty eyes became nostalgic. Okay, thank you. Are you married? Emily saw the ring on my hand and her expression became tangled. I will get married tomorrow. We have known each other for 2 years. He is a very good person. Emily's expression became relaxed again. Congratulations. The next day, my wedding with Nathan took place as scheduled. My parents watched every guest entering. They were afraid that Ian's family was holding back some bad intentions and ruining this important day for me. But no matter how much they guarded against it, an anonymous letter still appeared in my dressing room. As if afraid that I wouldn't open it, the letter paper was not wrapped in an envelope but was lying blatantly on the desktop. The familiar handwriting was written by Ian. Christine, I never thought that one day, I would attend your wedding with someone else. Even though I know you will hate me even more, before coming here, I still had the thought of ruining this wedding. But after I came here, I found that the layout of this wedding is so familiar. Everything about the wedding is chosen according to your preferences. A long time ago, I also got such a wedding that you painstakingly arranged. Only at that time, because of Emily's matter. I was not a good husband candidate before. Now that I have become like this, I am even less suitable to be your husband. I can't let you become an unhappy bride again on such an important day. Coming to this world, I thought it was God giving me a chance to make up for it. In fact, it should be to let me live and bear the sins of the past. I tried to recall the 6 years after marriage. Apart from my own cold words, there was only your sadness left. I have been sorry to you all along. It wasn't enough to harm you for a lifetime. In this life, I still wanted to pester you. You are right not to choose me. Christine. I hope you will never meet such a jerk like me in your future life. The door of the dressing room was knocked. It was the bridesmaid who came to remind the bride that it was time to enter. I tore up the letter paper and threw it into the place where the garbage should go. I dragged my long-tailed wedding dress and walked onto the red carpet. Before the master of ceremonies started to speak, Nathan's eyes were already red from crying. There were also 2 not-so-small cries on the scene. They were from my parents. Except for these 3 people crying too much, the wedding was held fairly smoothly. Until the end, there were no mishaps. Some people who came specially to watch the show and eat melons didn't see what they wanted to see. They could only leave disappointed. The hidden gaze also disappeared. Not long after, people in the circle got the news. The young master of Ian's family who had just recovered was going abroad to Joe. Ian may be going to treat his leg, may be going to complete his interrupted studies, or may never come back. Fong Yun went with her son who she had been fond of all her life. As for Ian's father, Fong Yun sold off all of Ian's family's property. Before his wife and son left, they called his lovers. In the end, when they were about to leave, no one showed up. There was no way. Fong Yun had to hire a nanny to take care of him. But as long as the money was given, she wouldn't ask about the person. Extra story, not long after Emily was imprisoned, she died. She hit her head against the wall and committed suicide. At the end of life, people's memories really seem to appear in their minds unreservedly like a revolving lantern. She saw Nianjin again. Emily was an orphan. Growing up in an orphanage, she was fierce and wild. bullied, then beat back hard. But Emily was chronically malnourished. Her thin body determined that she was the one who was beaten on the ground in most fights. On this day, she fought with others again because of an egg. Seeing that there were many people on the other side, Emily threw the egg in her hand hard on the ground and stomped on it hard with her foot. The clean egg was mixed with dirty mud and it was difficult to eat again. Those people were so angry that they were about to surround and beat Emily. Emily didn't have time to find a handy weapon. She could only quickly turn her mind and think about what posture would cause the least pain when being beaten on the ground. But those fists didn't fall. The new boy in the orphanage drove people away with a brick. Emily had some impression of this very good-looking boy. It seemed to be called Nianjin. Nianjin was different from those troublemakers. He was a little older and also regarded Emily as a girl. Nianjin was more ruthless. When Emily was with him, no one would trouble her again. However, Emily would also give her food to Nianjin. Although he wouldn't take it. In addition to not taking Emily's food, Nianjin also didn't drink the milk donated by Ian's family. In the end, 2 portions of milk all entered Emily's stomach. She couldn't figure out why Nianjin wouldn't like such good things. Ian's family donated to this orphanage to make their image in society more glorious. Emily didn't think there was anything wrong with this, as long as she could fill her stomach. What did it matter if the people who helped her were sincere or not? But when Nianjin later told her the reason why he hated Ian's family, she also didn't like those sweet and fragrant milk anymore. Unlike Emily, Nianjin wasn't a child who was abandoned at birth. He had a mother who loved him very much and also had 7 very happy years. Nianjin's mother was very beautiful. But her family was poor. When she worked in a big hotel, she was noticed by a rich man. There was no question of agreeing or disagreeing. She was tied up and sent to that person's room. That person had a wife. When his wife knew that her husband, who had just been married for less than a month, was so promiscuous outside so soon, she directly found Nianjin's mother. After beating and scolding until there was not a good piece of flesh on the person, she sent the person away from Jincheng without any compensation. So Nianjin's mother went out to do odd jobs just a few days after giving birth to Nianjin without having time to rest. The mother and son struggled to survive. After a long time, one small problem after another accumulated and still dragged down her body. Nianjin didn't hate anyone. He only hated that lawless beast Ian and his unreasonable wife. When Emily was 12 years old and Nianjin was 15 years old, he left the orphanage by himself. Wait for me. When I earn money outside, I will come to pick you up. After Nianjin left, Emily waited for his words day after day. Until 2 years later, Nianjin really came back to pick her up. Emily left with him. Nianjin seemed to have really earned some money. But there were many more scars on his body. He sent Emily to a good school and bought her everything that girls of that age would like. He never denied Emily's preferences. As long as she liked it, he could get it. Emily was raised better and better by him. The days of his bleeding were about to end. But the people above him made a big mess and pushed it to him. There was a problem with a sum of money he guaranteed. In the end, it turned out that he had to pay 9 million. Emily's suicide attempt was finally discovered. She was sent for emergency treatment. Along the way, her blood was still flowing continuously. She seemed to see Nianjin, who shouted at her loudly for the first time after appearing in front of Ian on his own initiative. She also saw Nianjin, whose clothes were soaked with blood, and urged her to escape quickly.